Welcome back, everyone, to AI for the People. Ready for another deep dive into some of the most fascinating AI developments?
Always. What do we got today?
Well, today we're looking at a really interesting mix of news. Ambitious startups, big tech moves, all sorts of things.
Sounds like a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the edge of something huge, like a massive AI evolution. But at the same time, there are all these potential ethical issues.
Oh, absolutely. It's a bit of a minefield out there.
Exactly. So to kick things off, let's talk about this startup frenzy that's going on. We've got Elon Musk back in the AI game with his new venture, xAI.
xAI, huh? What's the goal with that one?
So their goal is to understand the true nature of the universe. Pretty ambitious, right?
Wow, that's a big one.
Yeah. And to make things even more interesting, they've managed to secure a $6 billion investment.
6 billion, that's insane.
Yeah, it puts the company's valuation somewhere between 40 and 50 billion.
I mean, it really shows the level of confidence investors have in Musk's vision and just how much money is pouring into AI right now.
It's crazy, isn't it? And xAI isn't the only one making waves. There's a South Korean startup called 12 Labs. They've developed this AI that can analyze videos, like really understand them.
Oh, interesting. In what way?
Well, it can pick up on text, logos, even behavior.
Really? So they can analyze the content of the video, but also how people are acting within the video itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's pretty wild. And big names like Nvidia and Samsung are taking notice. They just had a $10 million funding round.
The applications for that kind of technology are huge, though, right? I mean, think about it.
It's mind-boggling. But you're right. It also raises some serious questions about, like, privacy and responsible use.
Yeah, for sure. If AI can analyze everything we do in a video, how do we make sure that information is used ethically? It's a tough one.
It really is. All right, let's move on to something a little different. Scale AI. Have you heard of them?
Vaguely, remind me what they do.
They're tackling the data issue in AI development.
Yeah.
Providing that high-quality data that's so crucial for training AI models.
Right. And they just got a ton of funding, didn't they?
Yeah, a $1 billion funding round.
Wow. Well, it makes sense. Data is everything when it comes to AI. I mean, if you don't have good data, even the most advanced AI model is going to struggle.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the big players. What's Meta up to these days?
Well, it seems like they're ready to take a pretty big risk. They're planning to introduce AI-generated users onto Facebook and Instagram.
Wait, what? Like bots that interact with real users?
It seems that way. The idea is that these bots would entertain users and create more engagement.
That sounds a bit risky.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you even begin to control something like that?
Exactly. That's the big question. There are huge concerns about misinformation and blurring the lines between real and fake.
It's already hard enough to tell what's real online. And with deep fakes and all that, it's just going to get more difficult.
Right. And while Meta has said they'll label the AI-generated content, I'm not sure that's enough.
It's definitely a slippery slope.
Right.
And now let's talk about OpenAI. They're facing some challenges too, right?
Yeah, it seems their need for capital and the move to a for-profit model has caused some friction.
Especially with Elon Musk. He's been pretty vocal about his concerns.
And it's not just talk, you know. Some key people have actually left the company because they disagree with OpenAI's direction.
Really? Like over safety protocols and that kind of thing?
Apparently. So it really makes you wonder, what does this mean for the future of OpenAI and their pursuit of, AGI?
It's a really complex situation, and it definitely raises some big questions. Speaking of complexity, let's jump to Nvidia. They're making some pretty incredible strides in geospatial AI.
Nvidia, oh yeah, the graphics processing guys. They're doing a lot more than just graphics these days.
Right, their Earth 2 project is particularly interesting.
Earth 2, what's that all about?
Well, they're basically creating this 3D model of Earth, but it uses AI and physics and all this advanced tech to actually predict future changes.
Whoa, so they're like building a digital twin of our planet?
Pretty much. And the possibilities are insane.
Yeah.
Think about, like, predicting natural disasters or designing cities that can adapt to climate change.
That's incredible. I've heard it's already being used by some weather administrations.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. But of course, there's also the flip side.
Right. The potential for misuse. What happens if that kind of technology falls into the wrong hands? It's a little scary to think about.
It is, which is why it's so important to have these conversations and think about these things now, before it's too late.
Absolutely. We need to make sure we're using this technology responsibly. Speaking of responsibility, Apple seems to be taking a different approach with their new AI stuff.
Oh yeah, Apple Intelligence. They're really emphasizing user privacy, which is pretty refreshing.
Yeah, it's a big deal, especially with all the concerns about data these days.
So what are they doing differently?
Well, whenever possible, they're running the AI models directly on your device, so your data doesn't have to be sent to the cloud.
That's smart. So less risk of your data being collected or misused.
Exactly. And when they do have to use the cloud, they're using end-to-end encryption to keep your data safe.
It's like they're saying you can have the benefits of AI without sacrificing your privacy.
Yeah, it's a good message to send. It shows that it's possible to innovate and still respect people's privacy.
It's a good sign. But let's circle back to Meta for a moment. Their plan with these AI-generated users, it feels like we're entering uncharted territory.
It does, doesn't it? It's almost like we're stepping into this hall of mirrors where it's going to be harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not.
And the potential for manipulation is a big concern. As AI gets more sophisticated, we need to be even more cautious about how it's being used.
Couldn't agree more. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the excitement of new startups to the potential pitfalls of powerful AI.
It's a lot to process. But it's so important to stay informed about these developments because they're going to have a huge impact on all of our lives.
Absolutely. And it's not just about staying informed. We need to be active participants in shaping the future of AI.
Well said. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in to this deep dive into the world of AI. We'll be back soon with more exciting discussions about the latest advancements and the big questions surrounding this incredible technology.
See you then. You know, before the break, we were talking about Meta and those AI-generated users.
Right.
It really makes you think, like, what is content creation going to look like in the future?
Totally. It's wild to think about. You've got AI potentially making content, but then on top of that, Meta's also working on this text-to-video generation tool.
Oh, right, yeah, where you just type what you want and it makes a video.
Exactly. So then anyone could create videos. You wouldn't need fancy equipment or anything.
It's pretty amazing. It could really change the whole media landscape, give anyone the power to be a creator.
That's exciting. But then, there's also the other side of it.
The potential downsides.
Yeah, like will we be flooded with all this low-quality AI content? Will we even be able to tell what's real anymore?
I think those are totally valid concerns.
Right.
Platforms like Meta, they need to make sure they're being transparent about this stuff, like clear labeling, responsible use guidelines, all that. It's really important.
Transparency is key. And what about, the ethical side? Like, what if this AI content is used for, like, manipulation or propaganda?
That's a big one. As AI gets more and more sophisticated, we have to be so careful about how it's used.
For sure.
We need to have ethical frameworks, guidelines, and make sure people are actually following them. It's not just about building the tech, it's about using it responsibly.
I totally agree. But, it's not all doom and gloom.
No, definitely not.
We've talked a lot about the risks, but there are also so many amazing opportunities with AI.
Oh, absolutely. AI has the potential to completely revolutionize so many parts of our lives. Healthcare, transportation, education.
Yeah.
Like, think about climate change, disease. AI could help us solve some of the biggest problems we're facing.
It feels like we're at the beginning of something huge, like a new era.
Yeah.
But it is a bit daunting,
I get it. It's this incredible power, and with that comes a lot of responsibility.
Exactly.
I think the key is to be cautiously optimistic, to embrace the potential of AI, but also be realistic about its limitations and the risks that come with it. It's a tough balance.
I like that. Cautiously optimistic. Well said. As we kind of wrap up this part of the deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a question.
Okay, shoot.
What role do we want AI to play in our lives? Do we want it to be a force for good, helping us to solve problems and make the world a better place? Or do we want it to control us?
That's a really powerful question. And it's a question we all need to be asking ourselves. It's up to us, We have to have these conversations, talk about the future of AI, and work together to make sure it's used ethically and responsibly.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's in our hands.
Exactly.
All right, now for the last part of our deep dive, we're going to get into some really cool examples of how AI is changing things up in different fields. We'll also touch on AI and decision-making. Some pretty interesting stuff there.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to AI for the People. We've been exploring some pretty incredible stuff today, haven't we? I mean, AI is changing everything so quickly.
It really is. And, as we move forward, we have to keep thinking about the ethics of it all. Like, it's not just about what we can do with AI.
Right. So what we should do. What's the right thing to do?
Exactly. We have to make sure AI is used in a way that benefits everyone, that it aligns with our values as a society.
Totally. So one area where we're already seeing a huge impact is in healthcare.
Oh yeah, healthcare is being transformed by AI.
Right. I mean, we're talking about AI analyzing medical images,
Right.
helping to diagnose diseases, even personalizing treatment plans.
It's pretty amazing. Imagine AI helping doctors to make even more accurate diagnoses, catching things earlier.
Yeah, that could literally be life-changing for people. But of
Yeah,
course, there are ethical considerations there too.
of course, yeah.
Like, what does it mean for the role of doctors? Are algorithms always going to be fair? What about data privacy?
Those are all important questions. We have to make sure AI is used to help doctors, not replace them,
Yeah.
you know?
It's about augmenting human expertise, not eliminating it.
Exactly. And yeah, the potential for bias in algorithm is a huge concern. We have to make sure everyone benefits from these advancements, not just certain groups.
Absolutely. It all comes back to that idea of AI being a tool. It's
Hmm.
powerful, but it's up to us to use it responsibly.
Right, it's in our hands.
Okay, so another area where AI is making waves is in decision making. Like, think about things like loan approvals, hiring decisions, even the criminal justice system.
Yeah, AI is being used more and more to make those kinds of decisions.
The idea is that it can help us be more objective, you know,
Yeah,
like relying on data instead of human biases.
right. But, there's that word again, bias. Algorithms are only as good as the data they're trained on. So if the data is biased, the algorithm will be too.
Exactly. And that's why transparency and accountability are so important.
Mhm.
We need to be able to understand how these systems are making decisions. And we can't just hand over all decision-making power to AI. Human judgment is still crucial.
I totally agree. We can't just blindly trust these systems. There has to be oversight.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the big takeaway is this. The future of AI, it's not set in stone,
Mm.
you know. It's something we're creating right now.
I like that. It's a future we're all shaping together.
Exactly. And we have a responsibility to make sure it's a future that benefits all of humanity.
Absolutely. We need to keep having these conversations, asking the tough questions, making
Mhm.
sure AI is developed and used in a way that's ethical and responsible.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, folks, that's it for today's deep dive into the world of AI. It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you've learned something new. And remember, the future is in our hands. Let's make it a good one.
See you next time.